Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Christina, aka Northwest Reader, and this video is my September wrap-up slash October TBR that I may or may not get to, that I'm gonna try to get to, but I'm not promising anything. Mood reader. So in the month of September, I read 10 books. I read some decent ones. Again, I read a lot of horror books, which I'm living for. I'm living for it. So the first book, I'm pretty sure I finished it not last month. I finished it in August, but for some reason on my Goodreads, it says that I finished it September 1st. So I may have just finished, or I may have only read 9 books this past month. I'm not sure. I don't remember. And I think I may have mentioned this, so I'm not gonna really speak a whole lot about it, but my best friend's Exorcism. I think I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was decent. Gross parts, but it really wasn't as crazy as some people said. Like some scenes, people were like, "Oh my god, it was so scary," but I didn't think it was that scary. I really enjoyed seeing the development of the two girls. They're like best friends, and then the one ends up being possessed and needing an exorcism, and her friend tries to help do that. But it's decent. I love the nostalgia of the 80s and stuff like that. So the next book I finished was an e-book, and it's called The Gatherings, an apocalyptic short story by Jeremy Ray. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was pretty unique and enjoyable. It was really creepy. I don't know how much I can say because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like the apocalypse pretty much. And yeah, it's very unique and very atmospheric. There's one scene where the main character is describing where she's at in this like flashback moment. Like while reading it, I could just picture it so crystal clear, and it was really good. Yeah, if you want, I forget how many pages it is. Oh, it's 74 pages, so if you want a really quick creepy read, I highly recommend it. I love it. And the author, he's really great. Follow him on Instagram. So yeah, 4 stars. So the next book I read, I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. Really good. If you like slasher, gore, Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of thing, this is for you. And what was so unique is you get more of the background and perspective of the person doing all the murdering, and you empathize with him in a weird way. But yeah, it's just about a group of kids. I think they're in college, I want to say. They go to this camp, and people die. And it's really gory. Bunch of trigger warnings. If you don't like body horror or anything like that, I would not recommend this. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I won this, actually, the physical copy, for a giveaway on Instagram, so thank you so much. And it came with a really cool bookmark, which I am using for a different book somewhere else. That's away from me right now, but yeah, I love it. And the author was so nice to sign it also, so I actually have a signed copy of a book, which I don't have any of those. So yay, thank you so much, Sergio. But yes, this is probably like one of my favorite reads that I read this past month, and it was exactly what I needed because I wanted something gory but with like some story to it. So yes, I highly recommend it. So the next book I read, I got from my local library as an ebook, and it's He Started It by Samantha Downing. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a pretty good story. It's about these adult siblings come together to do a road trip. Their grandfather died, and in order to get his inheritance, they have to go on this, I think it's cross-country trip that they had taken together with him when they were children. And there's a mystery behind it all, and in order to get the full inheritance, they can't be arrested, and they have to like complete the trip and deliver his ashes at the final place. And I thought it was pretty good. There's mystery behind the story with different things. I don't want to give anything away. I thought I was going to go in one direction and it didn't. And the ending was kind of a surprise for me. I liked how it ended. Because through most of it, I would say I was at like a 3, like it was your average, like a mystery thriller kinda, and it was all right. And then once the ending happened and we're at a certain scene, I was like, whoa, this is decent. It's the first book I've read of hers. I didn't read, I think she did The Lovely Wife or something, which I've never read. But this was decent, and I heard other people rave about it, and I could see the hype and stuff, but it was average for 90% of it, I would say. And then once the ending happened and you start to piece things together, then whoa, it was good. It made up for it. So the next book I read was a short one, and it's Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. I gave it 5 stars. I really like this one. It's about a guy. He goes to the supermarket to pick up, I believe, some chocolate for him and his girlfriend. And while he's there, he sees this really dilapidated looking lady with her child, and her child is just having a fit and screaming, and she's just like a zombie and completely out of it. And then they're in the aisle causing a disturbance. The mother rips open a bag of sour candy and is just like eating it up and like going crazy. And then the kid's eating the candy, and the kid, I think it was the kid or the mother, handed a piece of candy to this guy who, like, everyone was just standing there watching this like crazy scene, hands him this piece of candy, and then chaos happens. I love the premise of it. I love how it was not predictable whatsoever. It was super good. I loved it from the beginning up until the very end. It was super enjoyable. It had some body horror, and I don't know. It was good. If you want a really short read and you want something that's like scary and creepy, like Creepy Kid, and this is for you. So the next book that I finished is The Resurrectionist by Wrath James White. Ugh. I have a vlog that I did about this and like 2 other books, which, I mean, you don't know which ones I did, but I go into detail about it. But this I gave, I think, 2.5, 3 stars. It's about a serial killer essentially who keeps killing and raping his neighbors and then bringing them back to life, and then going the next day doing the same thing, bringing them back. But every time he brings them back, they don't remember anything. So he just keeps doing it, but then the woman keeps having these like nightmares. She like kind of remembers some things. So they're just trying to figure out what's happening. And yeah, like 2-3 pages in, I was very disturbed by what was happening. This book is the book of trigger warnings, mind you. Yeah, it's really bad. There's gore, body horror, rape, killing of animals, torture, everything that you could ever have a trigger warning for, it's in this book. And the writing isn't the best. I saw in other reviews people felt the same way, like the writing was not terrific, and the characters weren't the best either. Like, not so much like likability, but just being fleshed out. I liked the premise of the story though, and I liked how it ended, because once the ending happened, I was surprised. But it gets, like, after a few pages or after the beginning, like the middle section is so repetitive, which I get, but it kind of got a little boring for me, which this is like the goriest book I've ever read in my life, and yet it was repetitive and I was bored, and you kind of get desensitized, I want to say, a little bit towards the end of the story. So anything that happens, it was like, okay. But I feel like it's definitely more for shock and stuff, which, I mean, it achieved that goal for me. I wanted to read something messed up, and it's messed up for sure. But not the strongest story. I guess he's just well known for writing these types of stories, which I had no idea. A lot of torture, rape, and gory mutilation type stuff. So if you're into that, you might like this, but I would say probably this book isn't for a lot of people. So be careful, and you've been warned. But yeah, I give it, like, this was a 2-star for the majority of the read for me until the very end, when I was like, oh my goodness. And then I bumped it to 2.53 star. So yes, the Resurrectionist. So to cleanse my palate of all the gore and blood and stuff, I got from my library a digital copy of Heartstopper Volume 1. And oh my goodness, I needed it. It is such a good story, and it's a simple story. And it's not overcomplicated, and it felt so good to read. And I totally get the hype. I thought I was going to pick it up and be like, oh, okay, whatever, teenage love, blah, blah, blah. But while you're reading it, you get so attached to the characters right away, or I did anyways. And I was invested. And I'm like still invested. I haven't read the others yet, which I'm going to. But, oh, it was so good. It's just about these two boys that essentially just start off as friends, and then they start to build feelings for one another, and then them trying to get through figuring out what they're feeling, because the one kid, he is openly gay, and the other guy just he just doesn't know anything about his own sexuality, so he's just questioning it. And it's just, but it's so sweet. And you just, if your first love or your first crushes, like, it shows it so well in the graphic novel, and you're just like the whole time. But yeah, I gave it 5 stars. It was the perfect palate cleanser that I needed. I read it in like one sitting. I mean, it's not that hard to read it quickly, but oh my goodness, it was so good. Highly recommend it. So the next book I read was Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I gave this 4 stars. It's about a group of scientists and just a crew going on a ship. Oh, the Mariana Trench. They're going to the Mariana Trench to investigate if there are mermaids. And that's all I'm going to say about the storyline. There's a ton of characters, which I wasn't super pumped about at first because it's hard for me to follow. But luckily it gave enough backstory to some of them to where they didn't completely mesh together and blend together and got confused with. But it was decent. I'm not the type of person that's really into over explanation of things science-y and like that type of stuff. And they kind of do that from like the beginning to the middle. It's just information load, and I was just so bored with it. And then, but once the first scene happens with their encounter, it was the scariest scene that I think I've read in a long time. It was very atmospheric, and I was like, ugh, scary. I have a phobia for deep sea stuff, so it was scary. It was really creepy, so creepy. And it was pretty good. And then the ending, it was all right. I thought it was fine. I was underwhelmed a little with the ending, but just that one scene for me was like crazy. And a lot of the scenes, the action-packed scenes, they were pretty intense. So I liked that. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars, and I thought it was decent. Not too bad. So the next book I finished, I actually listened to the audiobook of it, and it is The New Me by Haley Butler. I gave it 4 stars. I got this recommendation from Paperback Dreams, I think is her name, and I weirdly enjoyed this. It's definitely not for everyone, that's for sure. It's about a girl who has the most mundane life, and she lets you in on it. Like, she goes to this temp job, and she does the bare minimum, and then she comes home, and she's single and just lives by herself. So she like doesn't bathe too often, barely brushes her teeth. She eats like crap, and she watches a ton of forensic files on her laptop. And you get a lot of insight of what she's thinking about with like her coworkers and stuff. And like she points out how like they're hypocrites, and she's very pessimistic, and it's so relatable. It really is. And you can tell she's struggling with some mental health stuff. And I don't know, I thought it was decent. And so I liked it from the beginning to the end. The ending was, I liked how it ended. I thought it was believable and realistic. So like the average rating for it on Goodreads is like 3.4. So I mean, it's not the most terrible rating, but I could definitely see how this wouldn't just be for anyone, because nothing really happens. And I think that's the point of it. And she goes over a lot of how people are constantly trying to, like, the self-helpers, you know, the ones that are just trying to improve their lives, and different techniques that they're trying to do. And like, I don't know, it's just, I couldn't help but relate to her with so many things. So yeah, 4 stars. And then the last book that I finished, Tender is the Flesh. For most of the book, I enjoyed it, and they go over the process of how they farm these humans and butcher them and stuff. And the scary thing is it was believable. It just seemed like something that could happen, and that was scary, really scary. And it just makes you think how we handle cattle and animals that we use to butcher and eat. And I think that's what it's kind of pointing to, and talking about society and different classes of people and stuff like that. But the story, we follow this guy who he works at a processing plant, and it's about his life, essentially. And he's like going through family drama in a way, and just his work and what he does. And I don't want to give a whole lot. I don't want to say a whole lot. You should go in blind with this one for sure, because it's jarring. Trigger warnings: murder, body horror, gore, animal torture at a couple of scenes, animal death. And I thought it was going to be a little scarier, but it's not really scary. It's just more of like, kind of like just a dystopian type of book. Yeah. But I recommend it if you're into cannibalism and stuff. or it makes you think. That's the thing. It makes you think, and it's scary in the sense of, I could see our world turning to something like this. And for my TBR for October, oh my goodness, there's a lot I want to do. I started reading, actually, Bad People by Craig Walwork. I'm almost done with it. I kind of had a lot going on towards the end of the month, because my baby's birthday was October 1st. So I kind of like had to stop with my reading a little bit and focus on that. But I plan on finishing this book. It's about this ex-cop who's writing a book about these children that have been disappearing from this town, this small town. And he goes there and he's doing research, and that's pretty much what it's about, like him researching into these disappearances. Bug. I don't know what the synopsis says, but it's pretty good. The writing is really good. Like, it's written very well. The first scene of the book is really creepy, and I'm still trying to figure out how it's connected to the story. I'm enjoying it. And like right now I think I'm at like a 4-star for it. So we'll see how the ending goes. It might go higher, but I plan on finishing that book. Other books I want to get to this month is Karen Slaughter's Pretty Girls. I really don't know anything about it. This is the library copy that they recommended to me, which is cute, but I have my own copy here. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't want to read into it, but I hear it's pretty, has some messed up scenes, so yes. The next book I would like to get to this month is Hex by Thomas Old Huvelt. I guess it's about a witch or something, and she hexes this land and things happen. Don't know a lot about it, but I hear good things, so hopefully I get to it. And this book is Riley Sager's first book, Final Girls. I've read all of his other books. I hear this is his weakest one, so yay. But I gotta read it because I read his others. It's about a girl who, like a group of girls, they're at a camp. They all get murdered except for one, and then years later she goes back to the camp, I guess, or something like that. I think. I don't know. But yes, this. And then another book that I'm hoping to get to is The Chestnut Man by Surin something. I can't pronounce that name. I'm sorry. This was the book choice for a group I'm a part of on Instagram. Yeah, I'm hoping to get to this. It's kind of a chunky guy, but we'll see. And then I think audiobook wise, I have The Catherine House, and then I also checked out The Stand by Stephen King. Try to listen to a little bit of The Stand at a time. I know it's like a million hours long, but I want to complete it before the show comes out because I do want to watch the show. So yeah, these are all the books that I've read and that I am hoping to read in this next month. I'm probably going to change out my TBR as always, but what did you read in the last month? Did you have a good reading month? How excited are we for the fall? Like, I'm so beyond happy that it's October. I am ready for this year to be done with, quite honestly, but I think everyone else is. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.